So tonight's episode of Smackdown, we had a few qualifying matches here for the women and the men for the Elimination Chamber, which is coming up in a few weeks. Honestly, when you take into account those matches, like when you see who's in those matches, it doesn't really take a rocket scientist to figure out who's going to win those matches. Like, you had Randy Orton, Solo Sikoa, and I forget who else was in this match, but like literally, who else would win other than Randy Orton? And of course, you had Tiffany Stratton there as well involved. Obviously, she just made her return. Obviously, she's eyeing up Jade. Who else realistically is going to be, proceeding ahead to the Elimination Chamber? We also had Cody Rhodes come out here and cut a fiery promo once again on Drew McIntyre. He attacked him as Drew McIntyre was making his way out to the ring. So did Jacob Fatu. I commend them for trying to add some heat to this story, with Cody and Drew, because that segment on Monday with Roman and Punk literally has wiped the fucking floor with this whole WWE Championship program. How ironic is it that literally the World Heavyweight Championship, the secondary quote-unquote title, is literally outshining these guys, Cody, Drew, and Fatu. To me, it just seems like no matter what you do, you could have Cody come out there and cut, so many promos on Drew. You can have Drew come out there and cut a promo on Roman and Punk like he did here tonight. It's still not going to be enough because still the running plan supposedly is Cody Drew at WrestleMania 42. And again, if you just do that match, it's not going to be anything that anybody really wants to see. And even if you add Fatu in there, that's an added element that could kind of, what happens there. Maybe Fatu was attacked by Cody. Maybe he was attacked by Drew. Like, it, at the very least, it adds some sort of suspense there. But still, like, they need to do something big here for this WWE Championship. Because right now, it's definitely taking the back seat. And like I mentioned before, Drew did come out there and he cut a promo on Punk and Roman, essentially getting his heat back. If you can call it that. I still kind of figured that, like, no matter what Drew said, they eviscerated Drew, indirectly on Monday by Punk and Roman saying, yeah, I beat Drew so many times. I beat him for 3 years straight. And Punk saying, I beat him so bad. They ran out of staples for him. Like, indirectly, they fucked him over big time without even trying. But yeah, again, this is what we're left with. This is what we're dealing with. We also had, once again, Obafemi here. They're still teasing as far as where he's going to land, whether it's going to be Raw or SmackDown. We saw him on Raw, essentially bury the Viking Raiders or the War Raiders, whatever the hell they're called at this point. Tonight we saw Kit Wilson, which is literally the most over man, I think, in this company, simply for the fact of his theme song. And again, that goes to show how important wrestling music is, or just music in general towards wrestling, because somebody like Kit Wilson, who, no offense, he hasn't been in the ring for a long time. He is not the most, I guess, charismatic guy. I'm not trying to bury the dude, but like, Kid Wilson isn't somebody who I would have thought in 2026 would be receiving such massive pops, but here we are, right? And he got essentially squashed by Obafemi, and they're still sort of running the angle of where he's going to land. I think we all kind of figured he's going to land on Raw simply for, the fact of it's been reported that he's going to land on Monday Night Raw. So again, that's that. And before I forget, I need to mention this real quick. So there's a qualifying match next week between Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, and Sami Zayn, which I find extremely, extremely interesting because, you would have figured that all these three guys were going to factor into the Elimination Chamber match. Maybe it's these three guys composed with Randy Orton, Trick Williams, and maybe somebody like Damian Priest, right? You would have figured it'd be those three guys, jockeying for position there. But now that they're in the same match, it's kind of a little bit unpredictable as far as like who actually goes over in that match and who potentially, like, does Drew actually work the Elimination Chamber? Like, do we have a singles title match for Drew McIntyre at the Elimination Chamber? Because I think if I have to predict the winner here, I think I have to go with Cody. And Cody, I think, realistically wins the Chamber, and then he goes on to face Drew at WrestleMania. And maybe if that's the case, maybe Drew has a title defense against Fatu at the Chamber. And maybe if you wanted to add Fatu into the triple threat, make it a triple threat at WrestleMania, maybe you have some sort of fuck finish or some sort of indecisive finish. So then Fatu can, claim that he was screwed over, that he needs another opportunity. I mean, you could do a lot of things here. I think the odd man out is definitely going to be Sami Zayn, because Sami Zayn, I've mentioned this before, I think the whole underdog thing, it's definitely run its course. I think there was a time and a place to crown Sami Zayn as the WWE champion, and that was 2 years ago, Montreal, Canada, Elimination Chamber, literally 2 years, almost to the date. I think that was probably the best opportunity for Sami Zayn. I think now if you do it, it would just kind of feel a little bit forced and a little bit inauthentic. But post your comments down below. Let me know what you thought of tonight's episode of Smackdown. And let me know what you think about Drew McIntyre, what they're doing with Drew McIntyre as far as his title reign. Let me know what you think down below. And until next time, I will see all of you on the next one.